Hello, my name is Paul Papasavis, and I'm going to be introducing Departures and Landings, a weather safety application that will be tested at your bases for the next 1 month. Departures and Landings is used to help the pilot make a go or no-go decision based on criteria that we don't necessarily have readily accessible to us, such as weather trending data and terrain elevation and obstructions. So without further ado, I'd like to go into the application a little bit, but first, in order for you to use the program, you're going to have to add yourself as a user. So what you're going to want to do is at this prompt over here at hems.dll.org, we're going to go to add user.asp $OI equals 4. And that link was provided to you in an email already, and I'm going to show you what happens when you go there. Over here, you're going to add your first and last name, your email address, that'll be your Medtrans email address, a password, which must be at least 6 characters, and then repeat the password here, your employee number for your company, and then you can keep the rest of these as is, unless you want to add NVG and IFR, or if you're an EOC manager or a dispatcher. You're then going to choose your base, and we have all the bases set up here, and your organization is going to be Medtrans. Once you've filled out those fields, you'll add the user, and then you'll be able to log in. So for now, we're going to go to www.dll.org, and I'm going to log in as a test Medtrans user. So without further ado, we're going to log into the application. I've got a user set up, test@medtrans.net. And the disclaimer here says that Departures and Landings as of now is not a QICP approved weather source, and that's to say that you cannot rely on this to make your go decision. You can turn it out, you can turn a flight down, but you cannot accept a flight solely based on this. This is used as a tool, and you're required to access weather that's authorized by our OPSPECs. So we'll log in, and as you can see, I'm already set up for the Wings Lifestar Wings One Medtrans base. I can change the base if I want, but I'm not. I have 2 regions set up. You're always going to be using the Wings or Lifestar region, and we've got all the bases set up here. So we're just going to go and say, okay, we're already set up for this base, so I really didn't have to change it, but wanted to show you you could if you want. And we're going to log in. So when we initially go into the application, you'll notice that you'll have a boxed area here. This boxed area is used for a couple different things. The first thing is, your starting location is listed over here. You're going to create a flight using your current location and creating a leg. You can create a leg by putting coordinates in, by putting a waypoint name for a waypoint you've previously stored, or by putting a city of a waypoint. And we have some options here that we may only want to show obstructions 200 feet or more, or if we want to force your hostile terrain minimums, or force cross-country minimums. And this just says that we're going to be searching within 1/4 mile of the course line for obstructions. Or we can load a stored route. A stored route simply says that it's a flight where all the legs are stored, and we'll get into that a little later. We've got the communications area here. This is where you would actually see if other bases have turned down flights, etc. And incoming flight requests, if your dispatcher sends you a flight request, you'll actually see it pop up over here. As we come down more, we've got some other information here. We actually have live radar that's static, and you've got a looping radar as well. And you can show the other radar sites that are close to your area here. And then we also have the weather and the trends for the weather reporting stations that are closest to your base and then go out. So we have 50-mile range. And as you can see, this weather just updated. So you can see that this weather station, TRI, 13 miles away at 1853 Zulu. The visibility was 10, dew point was 4, temperature 9, the spread was 5. Ceiling was 7,000, scatter 2,300, broken 7,000. The wind is 290 at 4, altimeter 2964. And that's the actual METAR. And if you want to see the trend, you can actually click on the trend here, and you can see what everything's been doing. You can see the dew point temperature spread 6 hours ago up until now. It started as a 1-point spread, and now it's gone up to 5. So you can see the trend is actually looking pretty good here. The visibility trend as well, you can see that it was About 6 hours ago, it was at 8, came down to 6, and now it's been working its way up to 10. So that's actually looking pretty good. Everything here, the ceiling trend as well, everything's trending up. And the dew point and temperature overlay, this graph is actually in concert with this graph, because this is actually the temperature and dew point spread, which you can actually see each of them here. And if you actually look at the last 6 hours of METARs, you can verify the information that we have on the graph. We're going to go ahead and close this window. And again, you can look at the trend for any of the weather stations here. Perhaps you want to look at this one. And you can see this one looks a little more dismal, but not too bad. And we'll close the window. And then we have the TFR. The TFRs actually show anything that's been added within 24 hours, anything active within 24 hours, anything that's currently active, or anything that's expired. And in this case, it looks like this has been added within 24 hours. And this air show one looks like it's going to be active within 24 hours. That's why it's blue. And you'll see that the active date is November 5th, and this is when it expires. And that's UTC. And I can just click on that actually, and I can get the actual FAA NOTAM information. I'll go ahead and close that. And that's the quick overview of the screen that you're going to see when the program first comes up. So when you first enter the application and you're fresh to the base, brand new base, you're going to want to add some waypoints. So what we've done is we provided the airport facility directory, and from there you can actually add waypoints that you would commonly go to. I clicked a few already, but what this is a list of airports, heliports with hospital heliports in red, and the bold ones are actually the ones that I've actually already put into the database. So as I click them, you'll see I'm adding a few to this base, and we'll try Tri-Cities Heliport, and let's see. As you can see, you can toggle it here. So I'm going to add Wellmont Halston Valley Medical Center Heliport, and the list keeps going out. So you're going to want to choose the airports and hospitals you would most likely go to. And as I start typing in here, you'll notice that that is in the database now, so I can just click it and it auto-populates. Now we're going to go ahead and start creating some flights, and because we've been using this now for about a year, we actually have quite a few waypoints set up in departures and landings for our base in New Jersey. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that we're actually receiving a scene flight from a dispatcher, and the coordinates are going to be 4108.3 west 7444.4. As soon as I click that, you'll notice that it shows the centers of town that are closest to those waypoints, and you've got another column here to the right. And what it is, it shows you existing waypoints in my database that might match up to where I want to go. So in this case, I'll click on the nautical miles here, the one that says 0.12 nautical miles, and I'll actually look in the map, and this is an existing waypoint, Route 206 in Branchville, and these are my new coordinates up here. So this is pretty much the same waypoint, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click that. As you can see, it autofills there. I click on Add Leg, and immediately I get a lot of information. The first thing I see is the distance is 14.31 nautical miles. The fuel required is 11.3 gallons, and the total fuel is going to be 11.3 gallons. And I can show this course in a map. I'll zoom up a little bit here. I can see the starting and ending point. And for some people, you actually may prefer the non-satellite view, so you can actually see things a little better. And you can see the starting, and I have a tower here. The magenta means this is the tallest obstruction at 1,316 feet. I've got another tower along the route at 918 feet, and that looks like 1,038 feet, and this is the ending point over here. This is a hospital helipad, and these are just regular airports over here. And I can toggle between satellite and regular map view. I can show the course profile, and this is actually a pretty powerful view. What this is showing, and this is actually a good day to show it, it shows that I've got clouds here along the course at 1,400 feet. You can see the clouds over here, and you can see my terrain along the route. My terrain starts at 860 feet roughly. It goes up to about 1,200 feet or so, and it finishes at about 500 feet, and I have towers along the way. These are considered off-course line obstructions. They're off-course line because they're not within a quarter mile of the course line, but they're within 2 miles, so we're going to at least point them out to you. If they were course line obstructions, you'd see it in red. And again, you can see the ceiling over here. And I'm going to close this window. and I can see the course weather trends as well. As I can see, the dew point temperature spread has been going downhill for all 3 weather stations that are along my route. Again, I look at the visibility trend. Same thing, pretty poor visibility, and the trend has been going down. Ceiling trend is also going down. And the wind trend, if you're looking for fog, dew point spread, this would be a little more helpful. But considering everything I see here, it doesn't look like a good flight to do VFR, so I'm going to likely turn this flight down. But we're going to put look at a little more information here. The first thing is, you can see the starting and ending point, the coordinates. You can see the distance, and then you can see the highest obstruction along the route. The highest obstruction can either be a man-made obstruction, such as a building, a tower, or it can be the terrain. In this case, it's the terrain. The lowest MSL ceiling along the route is at FWN, which is Sussex County Airport, and my ceiling above the obstacle, the highest obstacle, is only 258 feet. That means that I don't meet the AO21 minimums. And then this also shows my minimum maximum terrain, my lowest visibility, lowest dew point spread, and my MSA for day and night, my minimum safe altitude, which would be 1500 or 1700. And then for my compliance for my minimums for my company op specs, I have to have for day 2000 MSL and 2 or 802, or night aided would be 2003 MSL or 803 for AGL, and night unaided. Now you might ask, well, why are we showing MSL? Well, the reason we show MSL is because the weather station might actually be showing weather at a location that's higher or lower than where you are. So what we do is we take the actual MSL cloud level and we apply it to your course and see if you're really going to have your minimums or not. And as you can see, day flight, night NVG or TOWS or night did not meet any of our company op specs. Therefore, this flight does not appear to meet any of our minimums. And again, the weather stations along the route, I can take a look at the trend. And this particular station only reports temperature and dew point. As you can see, it's not looking good. And if I look at Sussex, same thing over here. It's not looking good at all. My ceiling's about 1,000, but you know, the vis is not looking good. It's starting to come up a little bit, but the dew point and temperature spread are at 1, which is not good. So this flight we're likely going to abort, deny. Now let's go down a little bit more, and you can actually see the weather along the route as well, if you want to see radar image. And then this actually shows the physical obstructions along the route. Now again, we mentioned before that we have obstructions that are considered course line obstructions within 0.2, 0.25 nautical miles of course line, and then greater than or less. So these ones are greater than 0.2 nautical miles, but they're less than 2 miles. And you can see where the obstruction is located, what it is, what the elevation is, how many nautical miles from the end of the course it is, and then how many nautical miles left or right of the course. And if you actually want to see it, you can click on it and it'll actually show you where the obstruction is relative to the course line. And if I zoom out a little bit here, I can see where that obstruction is relative to my course line. And this is actually just a little bit before my course line, but it is the highest obstruction on my route.